What's up, y'all? Man, it's Jonathan Owens here. I know it's been a while. Man, let's get into this because times are crazy. Should Christians be fearing nuclear war when all these things are going on? Well, I want to put it like this. Think about it. If one nuke hits any homeland, let's say it's America, let's say, one of the states, Alaska, even Puerto Rico, like if it hits any of like actual homelands, not just like bases or stuff like that, or hits a China homeland or Russian homeland, that's everything is over because now the other country has to retaliate with their own nuke to someone else's homeland, and then you end up with destitute desolation everywhere, where so many people are dying. Now the Bible talks about this. As we know, Revelation 6, it talks about how peace is going to be taken from the earth, and so many people are going to die. At times it talks about 1/3, then they'll say 1/4, or this fraction of people going to be taken from the earth. So much killing. Now again, depending on your eschatology, at the beginning of this tribulation period, if you believe that Christians are going to be raptured out already, then there's no way that could be a nuke, because a nuke obviously would destroy a lot of people, and probably would multiple nukes would destroy 1/3 of the earth. That might actually happen. So the Bible probably does line up with that. But the reason I'm saying that is because if you're leaning toward the Christians are already going to be taken out because it said the peace is going to be taken from the earth, then you believe that Christians won't be around for any of those things. So if nukes happen in this time frame of between the first and second horse of apocalypse, then Christians have anything to worry about a nuclear war being destroyed on all the land. But if you believe that, which is hard at times, sometimes it seems more obvious, but sometimes it doesn't. If you believe that Christians are going to be here toward the end of the tribulation, going through a lot of the horses of apocalypse, so you have 4, and then around the time of the 3rd and 4th horse, where it's talking about the saints of God say, hey, how much longer, Lord, like, do we have to be our deaths that we had all died be avenged? How much longer? An angel or God saying, not until your fellow Christians, your brethren, have also died in the faith like you have. So now some may interpret that is that people getting saved during the tribulation, or is that people who are already saved? We know it's not people who got saved during the wrath. That's later to come at the end of chapter 6, leading on to 7 and 8. So it's like I said, whatever you see yourself on eschatology, you have to do it that way. But in the grand scheme of things, while Christians here on this earth, we should not worry that majority of the entire earth will be destroyed by nuclear bombs, because that's not the way God says it's going to end. And we see that peace will be taken, and majority of people will be taken from this earth. But we know that it's not going to be entirely like that, as a lot of people who are not believers, which the majority of the world are not believers, must go through God's wrath, because otherwise, why have a wrath if everybody's going to be dead before the wrath gets here? You see what I'm saying? So if most of the world is going to be dead, why have wrath on the earth when most of the people are already going to be dead? So obviously we know that there's a lot of like imagery in this, but what I can tell you, and this is amazing, and I saw it, and I think it was like, I think it's at 2032 or 2033 that the scientists were saying there's a good chance that the asteroid was going to hit this one that actually is projected, I think 2032 or 33 or something like that, was going to hit Earth. Like, this one has a better chance than some other time frame or whatever. And I was like, okay, if I'm doing the math, I'm like, hey, 2032, 33, Jesus left. he left the earth around AD 32, 33. He left then. So it's like, oh, okay. Is that signifying something? So Revelations 8, we see something fascinating, and you probably heard this already, but I want to just show you how, like, not worry about the nuclear bomb, but what if something else can go off? And should Christians be worried about this? So take a look at this passage because this is the second part of what I'm trying to say. Yeah, so this passage. Now, Revelations 8, and then look at the 10 through the 12th verse. The third angel sounded his trumpet, and a great star, blazing like a torch, fell from the sky on a third of the rivers and on the springs of water. The name of the star is Wormwood. A third of the rivers turned bitter, and many people died from the waters that had become bitter. The fourth angel sounded his trumpet, and a third of the sun was struck, a third of the moon, and a third of the stars, so that a third of them turned dark, and a third of the day was without light, and also a third of the night. So I'm like, hold on. So this wormwood is coming out of the skies blazing. John is describing it as a star, and it's coming down like fire. In our text, in our context today, that would be similar to most likely an asteroid, not an actual star. But at that time, they would probably have classified as a star because it's like they see a giant rock or something coming down from heaven, fiery debris he's seen in his vision. But what came after was extremely like it said that this affected the sun, the moon, the stars, where they were very dim and they didn't get their light. But then you go and see what's the effect of a asteroid hitting and striking the water and hitting and seeing what comes after. So this said a major asteroid impact can cause severe long-term dimming of the sun, a nuclear winter affecting by releasing immense amounts of dust and soot into the atmosphere, potentially blotting out sunlight for years, stopping photosynthesis and inducing extreme global cooling. Lunar impacts create craters, heat the surface, and can eject debris that may affect Earth. A large asteroid impact like the Chicxulub event will cause massive global wildfires, releasing tremendous amount of soot. This soot could blanket the atmosphere, reducing sunlight reaching the Earth's surface by roughly 99% for up to 2 years, causing a darkness that halts photosynthesis and drops surface temperatures drastically. A major impact directly on the moon will create a large crater and release vast amount of dust. This debris in a dirt collision could lead to a localized melting and ejecta. So you reading that, you're like, this sounds like a meteor impact that has now affected the sun and the moon, dimming in Revelations 8. And it's like, that sounds just like what would happen if an asteroid, or they call it, like it's calling it a star, fell from heaven, hit the river. He's talking about the river and seas, which we know in many movies. The asteroid like usually always come down and hits a sea or ocean or whatever. Mostly like I guess an ocean or sea. And we see what happens after that. Tsunamis and everything. And then we see all the darkness upon the earth. Like so I'm like, so for once, scientists who maybe get this right and say that the asteroid may hit, God may use the asteroid that's already on its way to Earth to be a part of his wrath, because this is Revelation 8. Christians are already definitely gone. And God may use that as part of his wrath. Because you also look it up, they say that it will also make the waters bitter because of the toxin and the contaminated water will be bitter if nobody can't drink it on the earth, or how much is destroyed. So that also lines up. So I would say the world needs to worry about an asteroid coming for once. For once, the movie will actually be right. But for Christians, we won't have to worry about the asteroid or the nuclear bombs taking off, killing everyone at the same time or whatever, most people dying. Now, someone may say, well, what if one person, one nation, or whatever the case may be, just get hit by a nuclear bomb? Maybe there won't be a massive nuclear war or whatever. Just it hits a nuclear bomb, a nuclear site, or whatever the case may be, and many Christians are killed. Which, and that's what goes back to: would a nuclear bomb hitting a major homeland, would that not cause a nuclear war? Which most likely, indefinitely, or undeniably it will. But if you hit a place where it just so happens that it doesn't, but Christians still die in that, where if they are in that spot, then that will be unfortunately chalked up as the persecution and the suffering that Christians still have to go through in this world, as some directly trying to harm them and some indirectly. So, but just making this video so that, because all the stuff that's going on right now, people may be afraid that nuclear war is going to happen. But you can be rest assured that, like, a nuclear war killing off almost all people, whatever the case may be, if everyone started to shoot them, that's not the way God says it's going to end. He has a way it's going to end. He has a book. He has a sovereign plan, and it's not going to end that way. So we don't need to fear as Christians. But depending on your eschatology, that nuclear war might happen indeed. But we don't believe that Christians will be here if that did happen, based off of Revelation 6. So just some food for thought, but everyone can just rest assured that God's sovereign plan is in play. So I'll see you next time. I hope you enjoyed this, Lord's willing, and we'll talk about more things, because the news right now is buzzing, and we as Christians, we got to watch as well as pray. So I appreciate it. Thank you.